Okay, can you all hear me? All right,
Yes,
perfect.
sir.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah. So just a heads up, everyone. I'm going to keep my camera off. As my email said yesterday, I'm getting over the flu, and I'm at home now with two kids with strep and a wife with the flu. So I'm double duty here, but I'll keep moving the meeting forward. It's a pretty straightforward meeting today, so shouldn't be too long. But I just wanted to let you all know what was happening here. So um, okay, so let me just see here. Instead of taking a roll call, I am just going to essentially take a screenshot of everyone who has joined. So give me just a second to do that. Okay. Okay. So we are all good. Um, so thank you everyone for joining today. Like I said, today's meeting is going to be pretty straightforward. So the first, let me bring up, sorry, apologies. Let me bring up the agenda. Thought I had it up. And I apologize. I switched over to my computer recently, so I'm still booting it up and getting everything up to speed. It always works so slow when you need to go fast. All right. Okay. So like it's just now, I'll keep an eye on it as the meeting continues. So I now would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Kara,
I'll approve.
all right. And then I need a second from anyone.
I'll second. Or Tim's waving his hand.
Yeah, I saw Tim. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate that. All right. Um, okay, I instead of raising hands, I will just take a vote by acclamation. So if anyone objects, put it in the chat now. Okay. See no objections. We will now move, I will now entertain a motion to uh, approve the minutes from last meeting. Kara, Kara moves, and then I need a second. And Dawn.
I second, says Dawn.
Perfect. Okay, and the same. If anyone objects or has anything to add, please put it in the chat now. Okay. Okay. So next item on the agenda is chair and committee reports, but I have no report from the chair since basically we ended right before break and then they're picking up right at the beginning of the semester. So there really hasn't been much going on over the last month. But also, I have not received any committee reports. So if any of the committees, need to make a report right now, you can do so. Otherwise, we will move on to the next item. All right, excellent. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is someone that we actually know very well. She was a member last year. So I will turn it over to Katie to give us a report presentation on accessible technology. So Katie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to try to share my screen. Should work. Okay, do you see the beginning of a PowerPoint, everyone? Thank you. Hope I can advance. Oh, good. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about technology accessibility at NIU. I'm NIU's Information Technology Accessibility Officer. My position's in the Ethics and Compliance Office. And more specifically about technology accessibility, I want to talk about moving from accommodations. What?
I think it was just background, Katie. I think you're fine.
Okay. I want to talk about moving from accommodations to accessibility, which is kind of what our laws are going toward also. And I'll explain the difference. There's my email address, kwhitelaw@niu.edu, if you have questions after this. An accommodation starts with a need. For example, a deaf student needs to watch 5 videos this week for a class. The videos aren't captioned, so the student has to ask for captions from the Disability Resource Center and wait for someone to create them. That can take a varying amount of time depending on how many other things the DRC is doing. Or say an employee who is blind needs to complete an online form. It's inaccessible. So someone will have to help them fill out the form, even though it contains personal information. Accessibility means these things are all ready. Accessibility was built in. Our deaf student needs to watch 5 videos this week for a class, and the videos all have captions. It turns out many other students appreciate the captions too. Students who like to read as they see the video, students whose hearing isn't that great, students whose first language isn't English, students who are watching these videos in a very noisy situation or in a very quiet situation. The employee who is blind needs to complete an online form and it's accessible. So a sighted person who temporarily can't use a mouse can also complete it independently. The law talks about accessibility in terms of people who are blind or have a visual impairment, are deaf or hard of hearing, unable to use a mouse, unable to use a keyboard, and wheelchair users. Accessible means a person with disabilities is able to independently use the electronic and information technology to acquire the same information, engage in the same interactions, and enjoy the same services in the same time frame as a person without disabilities. So what has to be accessible? Websites, all of our digital documents, all of our course materials, forms, mobile applications, social media, and printers, kiosks, ATMs. New in the world of accessibility is the ADA, Title II. It became, the changes to ADA Title II were publicized in April of 2024. And the deadline for us to comply with these new guidelines and laws is April 2026. You probably all know the ADA. The ADA brought us elevators, ramps, electronic doors, things like that. What's covered in ADA Title II is just about everything you can imagine that's digital. The standard for compliance is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, sometimes called WCAG, version 2.1. 2.1 was published in 2018. So the deadline is April 2026. The Department of Justice opened up for comments and got a lot of them from universities. And one of them was, oh, we need more time. And the Department of Justice said, you know, those web standards were published in 2008. So you've had time. Our vendors don't have accessible options. And again, the Department of Justice said, you've had since 2008 to find another vendor. Also, we have always used this product service application, and the Department of Justice said, find another one. All our data is in that inaccessible application. Move the data to an accessible one. It might cost money. Move it anyway. This can't be made accessible. The Department of Justice said, provide a written statement that shows you considered every possibility to make it accessible, but it couldn't be done. This needs to be signed by someone very high in your organization. You must provide a workaround anyway if someone needs this. Even our social media, going forward, yes. Going backward, no. We don't have to go back and correct all of our social media into the mists of time. This is tough, but we are all learning, including vendors. Vendors are learning that their university customers require accessibility and will produce more accessible technology. Making sure your course materials are accessible will become a habit. Creating online forms, processes, documents, emails, they'll get easier. And there are benefits. We could recruit students and employees with disabilities because we are an accessible university. We can retain students with disabilities all the way to graduation. When we do that, we earn a reputation for being a center of excellence for accessibility. And we reduce our risk of litigation for noncompliance with the laws. And this slide is the laws and policy that apply to our technology. The Rehabilitation Act, Section 508, refresh, became law in 2018. The Illinois Information Technology Accessibility Act 2.1 became law in 2018. The ADA Title II Web and Mobile Accessibility Act, it's basically law, but we don't have to have everything comply until April 2026. And NIU has its own accessible electronic and information technology policy, which is based on these. It's a big job. We have a lot to do. I'm not sure how we'll get it done in time. Think about some of the digital applications we have. I made a list. 25 Live, Blackboard, Anywhere Apps, our online bookstore, Kowali Form Builder, Kaltura for videos, Microsoft Teams, PeopleSoft, Qualtrics, Zoom. And think about all the course materials, the digital textbooks, the apps we use to sell things like football tickets. These are all supposed to be ready in April 2026. Um, Are there any questions while you're thinking about it? I have a cartoon on this slide that's a picture of a man shoveling some snowy steps. And there are people waiting at the bottom of these steps. A person in a wheelchair says, "Could you please shovel the ramp?" And the person who's shoveling says, "All these other kids are waiting to use the stairs. When I get through shoveling them off, then I will clear the ramp for you." And the person in the wheelchair says, "But if you shovel the ramp, we can all get in," which kind of sums up how so much of accessibility is useful to many, many people. Questions?
Hi, Katie. Thank you for that. Where do we stand? Would you estimate is like where we're at for compliance, like a percentage? You think we're at 20%? And then also, what is the communication that's going out to campus? Has anything gone out, or is it coming out, or how is that getting transmitted?
I would guess it's coming out. I'm not part of this. I would like to be.
Yeah.
However, I don't know in terms of a number or some way you could really visualize how accessible we are. I don't know. We haven't done say an audit of every single application we can think of that we have. It would be very hard to audit course materials because those are things that professors sign. They assign the students to buy, and then the students buy them. It's between them and the students. I know there's more and more interest in it. The culture around inclusivity includes disability. People with disabilities are an underrepresented group. And it's a different group in the sense that any one of us can become a member of that group at any time. So we're all becoming more aware. We don't all know what to do yet. I just hope we get going. Kimberly.
Hi, yeah, thank you
Hi.
for that information. From a library perspective, I have lots of questions as I've been looking at this, and I know that you said that you're not involved. Who is involved, and who should we go to with these questions?
I'm sorry, I don't actually know. We had a data accessibility task force led by Holly Nicholson, who is now a presidential fellow, and I don't know if it will be part of her duties. I think some of your duties are excused when you're the fellow, right, Cara? You've been one. Yeah.
Yes. You can have some of the duties remain. I don't know which of her duties she took with her.
Yeah.
I talked with Holly this morning about digital accessibility. She is still leading the digital accessibility task force.
Good, good.
And they're going to give recommendations to the president soon, is what I know.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. There's a meeting later this month, so I guess it will come out then.
Yeah, I'll just interject here. I was going to say that I think it would probably, that the PCPD could reach out to the president's office to get that information and then send it out to all the members and liaisons here. I think that's probably a good use. But if Holly has a report, it's probably going to be a lot of that. But we'll keep an eye on that and try to get that information out of this.
Sounds good.
A second, Libby. If you all have questions, I will get that information for you later today. I'll send it out in an email. I don't expect you to reply after 4:30, but if you choose to, that's fine. But I will get that information.
Thanks, Kamara. Appreciate that. There was a question in the chat from Megan. I don't know if you'll have this information, Katie, but does CITL have any numbers from Blackboard Ally? I believe they must. I don't know if you, I know that they do keep those numbers. I don't know exactly what they
Cital is just great on accessibility. I know they can get numbers from Blackboard Ally. The way they could do that would be when a professor uploads material, Blackboard Ally will tell the professor, is it accessible? And if it's not, what can you do to fix it? And so Cital can get data that way, disaggregated, just campus wide. But I don't know, I haven't seen it.
So sorry, I can't find the hand button for some reason today. One of the reasons that I asked that is, so this is something I care about and have worked really hard, and I'm still not getting 100% on Ally. So just thinking about having to be, in compliance, normal faculty that aren't always thinking about this, it's going to be a real push. So I was just wondering, yeah, are we going to have any kind of campaign to push this forward to be in compliance?
Yeah, I don't know, and I really understand what you're saying. It's important to realize that we have experts all over campus who are not hired for their accessibility skills. It's something you have to learn. You're not born knowing, and it will be a real lift to help every faculty member get there.
Not sure who the last person was that spoke, but I do believe that an announcement went out late last semester or early this last fall, fall or late spring about the accessibility work that's being done. I know this because I had to begin looking at our website to make them accessible. However, one of those things, I'm in my car. So when I get back to the office, I will find that email and I'll just forward it to Matt. And Matt, if you could send that out, that'd be great.
Yep, that sounds good. Thanks, Tamara.
Thank you. Those are good questions.
Anything else? Thanks for letting me come. You guys do good work. I appreciate everything you do. If you have more questions, I'm at kwhitelaw@niu.edu.
Thank you so much, Katie. Really good to see you as well.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. So that is essentially everything we had in terms of the set agenda. At this point, I will now move it to the open discussion. If anyone has anything they would like to bring up, whether it has to do with Katie's presentation or just anything else. So we are now in open discussion. Becca, go ahead.
Hi there. I know you sent out the email for nominations for the new chair, and I was just curious if anybody is feeling interested in that role in particular. Yeah.
I believe I'm 99% sure we have a nominee, but I want to make 100% sure that this person has agreed to step up. But there will be an announcement on that probably tomorrow. I just want to make sure I got everything. I don't want to be premature in the announcement to find out, maybe all that. So but yeah, I believe we are going to be set, and there will be an election as per the bylaws, and we should have someone for the next meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Well, I have a little girl here who's now pushing me to get off of the meeting, so it's as good a time for me as any. So hold on a minute. So I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Cara has moved to adjourn the meeting. I need a second.
I'll second.
Megan, all right, same thing. Unless if you object, you may type so now. Otherwise, thank you very much. And like I said, an email will go out tomorrow, and we'll start setting up for the next meeting. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one, and hopefully everyone gets healthy or stays healthy. I know that bug is going on, so all the best. Bye.